Hey, everybody. Welcome to Learn From Us podcast. It's Steph and Paul. Paul, how are you, my dear friend?
Hello, you cool cats and kittens.
We are not in the studio. We are at home.
You know that's from, do you, Seth?
Cool cats and kittens? No.
That's what the creepy Carol lady, Carol Baskin, says on Tiger King.
Oh, you finally watched it?
Yeah, I think I have 6 of 8 episodes done.
It's about that time that I started saying, why am I watching this? I couldn't quite. So, Paul, I want to play to start off. So, guys, we know it's the virus season. We're all stuck in our homes. And, Paul, they're saying this could be extended all the way to June 1st. That's 2 months from now. What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, there's no guessing happening here. This is all unprecedented. We've never seen these waters before. All I know is, I shouldn't say even all I know. I wouldn't be surprised if things end up being much worse than people think. I wouldn't be surprised if things end up being better. Like, literally, I'm not even going to guess because what can you do?
Yeah, I wanted to play a recent quote. You'll recognize the voice, but I want you to listen to what his wise words, okay? Can you listen to this for a moment?
Is it Trump?
Yeah, just listen for a second.
Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, whose full name, he was...
Hold on, Paul.
Did you botch it?
No. no. Of course, I get the spinning death. I get the spinning...
Jesus. By the way, I thought it was an impersonation of Trump.
Just listen to it carefully, okay? Here we go. Sorry.
Jewish, so his full name might have been like Christowitz, but God rose him from the dead on a holiday we now call Easter. Not a lot of people know that, but it's called Easter. It's when Jesus and the 2 Corinthians met the Easter bunny and came back from the dead. It's a beautiful story, very important for the Christians like me. And I have decided, I'm announcing today,
pay attention now.
We are going to bring back the economy on Easter Sunday. Because God, who, to be honest, is, he's a good God. He's done some strong things. Let's be honest, his record is not so great though.
This is the gaffe.
He brought one guy back on Easter Sunday, and it was his son, so it was kind of biased. Yep. But we're going to bring back the entire economy on Easter Sunday. And at that point, I think basically I'm better than God. So when we do it, we're going to do it toughly. We're going to do it with great compassion, great strength, tremendous strength, and also toughness. Easter Sunday, we're going to put it on pay-per-view.
There you go. That is a quote from the president. Your thoughts?
That is not the president. Listen, the second it came on, I'm like, oh, this is an impersonation. And you're like, no, it's not. I'm like, okay. Then it starts talking about this. I'm like, listen, Trump's ridiculous. He's not even that ridiculous, I hope. Whose impersonation was that?
I'll send you a link. Some guy on Twitter is hilarious. But
is that the guy with I think I've seen him. He's really good.
Yeah, I don't know his name. I just saw him recently. I wanted to show you that. So tell us your state, what you're doing, and what you're thinking business-wise. That's a big question.
Yeah, cash is being stacked. I bought a few stocks. I've shorted the market. I exited my short. Did I tell you that?
Explain to the folks what you did and got out of.
So I was betting the market would fall. At 2,300 and change, like 2,315, I got rid of my short. It just felt like we dropped so much so fast. I didn't care if we went further south. I just thought there was going to be a bounce. Where we got lucky. The next day it went to 2,195 and then shot straight back up, and now we're at 2,600. So yesterday I said, you know what? I'm going to do it again, but a smaller amount. And I'm just going to add to it because I still think stocks are going to go significantly lower than today. So I started shorting a little bit of the stock market. So I make money as stocks fall. I bought a couple stocks I bought BP 10 days ago, I don't remember, a week ago.
It's done.
And I was hoping it would go lower.
Well, BP's done phenomenally well since you.
I know, that's the problem. It's up 65% since I bought it, which I'm not saying it as a humble brag. I'm saying it as I actually wanted to go lower so I could buy more. So I haven't bought any more of that. I bought a couple gold miners, playing on gold, and Yeah, I keep looking for more stuff to buy. And I'm just being very cautious right now because of uncertainty, and I think things will go lower. So we'll see. I don't know. It's just we're refinancing a big property of ours. We have to go to a local bank, which I love. I've been talking to my brother about buying a bank at some point in this mess. So I got to think there's gonna be some opportunities. It's just it's a small bank, just for us to be able to lend on real estate in a way we see fit and be very aggressive with. Listen, the whole point about all this is it starts getting my head going about, okay, what can I do in this? What can I do in this? That's it. That's all I'm trying to do is figure out, okay, it's going to suck for us. It's going to suck for a lot of people. We're going to have a good month in our collections for our properties, but next month is going to be, because we started the month really strong. Next month is going to be abysmal. They're talking about second quarter having a 34% drop in GDP set. That's like almost $2 trillion drop. That's huge. That's ginormous. You know what I mean? So we'll see. It's just, have you been out there? I mean, I'm probably not being as good about my social distancing as I should. Like I go to my office gym and I work out and I do stuff like that. I see Lisa and all that stuff. But either way, it's just.
I keep envisioning a lot of friends who are in small businesses. I'm just,
Have they applied for those loans?
I see it going around applying for loans. I just don't know how many places can survive by saying you're not going to make money through the end of March, April, May, all the way up to June. I don't know how many of these small businesses can survive this.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't know what to say about that besides it's going to be tough. I mean, and if you survive it, hopefully you remember this time as a way of, look at the Great Depression. Whenever you meet people who lived through the Great Depression, they're very big savers, right? And as a country, we haven't been saving much for a long time. And saving is essential for stability. When you have a booming economy for 40 years, you don't need to save as much because a rising tide raises all ships. That's what I preached about before. And unfortunately, this might be the incident that caused everybody to say, okay, well, if you didn't save, it's probably going to hurt you a little bit, quite a bit. It could run you out of business. Will you be fine in X number of years? Yes. Will it be tough along the way? Absolutely. The government's going to do everything they can to make it easier on as many people as possible, but they can't just bail everybody out because think about economically, we can't have no repercussions for anything we do. You know what I mean? Like if we just bail everybody out all the time, if I go take a risk, I'll be like, yeah, of course I'll take this risk. I don't care. The government will bail me out. We can't have that. We got to have risk meaning something. You know what I mean? So whenever I'm talking about this, I want everybody to understand, I'm not saying it from a mean-spirited way. It's coming from take ourselves out of the situation and talk about it from a purely investment and business standpoint, right? We've got to have risk pay off for people. And part of that means that risk has got to be hard for others. You know what I mean? Businesses with lower margins are going to suffer right now. Big businesses with higher overhead and lower margins are going to suffer. That's what happens though. You look at overall profit to GDP ratios and they need to go higher because when you have booming economies, more people start businesses. You can do volume gain, but all of a sudden the volume goes away. What do you have then? Bars, restaurants, these small businesses, it's just unfortunate, but there's going to be a pullback in consumer spending, or at least there should be. And as the years go on, people remember this recession going, this is where I learned how to save. And the younger you are, the better off you're going to be. It is unfortunate that the older you are, closer to retirement, if you have a business you're relying on selling to retire, that might end up not coming to fruition. But hopefully what happens is if you lose this business and it is devastating, you built it once before, you can go build it again, hopefully. That's going to matter on, are you capable of wiping it off and wiping off the shoulder, saying, okay, I got beaten up pretty bad. I can handle that emotionally. I know guys in the real estate business who lost everything and they still rebounded. They just said, okay, I'm just going to go do it again. Do you have the gumption for that? I don't know. But this is how market prices, and this is how free markets take care of themselves. And it's unfortunate. It's just, if you spend a lot of money, personally, while your business was doing well, but you didn't save anything for a rainy day, that's a problem. You know what I mean? That's going to be an issue. You're looking at me like, you know, I'm trying to, I'll be honest with you, I'm walking the fine line of saying this is good for the economy while also bad for the economy. It's hard to understand how this is good for the economy, but it is good for the economy in the long, long run.
How so? Keep going. I mean,
less businesses, you get the weed. Recessions weed out the outliers of the people who are on the edge, kind of barely making it. Our whole economy isn't built on just everybody being super successful. You've got to have producers, you've got to have workers, you've got to have all these things going together. Economies like this will weed out the ones who are kind of trying to become something they weren't, you know, and hopefully gets people to realize what they really are. It's not a bad thing to say, I'm not a business owner. Some people might find out later on they're relieved, like, oh, you know what? That business stressed the heck out of me. I'm glad it's over. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's a for sure thing, but we've got to remember that recessions do help in the long run. Some of the best businesses in history have started during and right after big, big recessions. The Great Depression was awful. Did our country realize one of the biggest booms like in history in the last 50, in the next 30 years? You know what I mean? The late 70s and early 80s were terrible. And then we had the biggest economic boom for the next 20 or 30 years, 40 years. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at it going, it's hard to say that when you're in it. But if you look at history, we've always ended up better. It's just like divorces. You get divorced, and when you're in it, you're like, this is the worst thing. And then all of a sudden you got a divorce, and you realize, you know, that person was toxic. Or, oh my God, I met this person, and I'm so much happier. I wouldn't have had that if I stayed in this relationship. Every bad has a potential of being good. It's how we react to it. Fortunately, the government's going to be there to step in. And we talked about this before and how much I might agree or disagree with it. But the government's going to sit there and step in and try to make it as soft as possible. But we don't want to take away from the fact that we do want people to take risks. And with risks means that you sometimes things don't work out. And you've got to pay for those mistakes. Is it right that Joe Schmo, who works the factory line, what's right and wrong? I don't know. If Joe Schmo worked the factory line, did his work, appreciated his job, I feel awful for that person. And hopefully there will be help for that person from the government in some fashion. We won't talk about surpluses, but you know what I mean. But there's some business owners that you got to look at and say, listen, if you were skirting by on credit and you were skirting by on low margins and you were late in paying, it's going to hurt you. But hopefully then when this rebounds, you realize how important having little debt or having I was at a jeweler's office yesterday. I was at a jeweler's, the Dynasty Order ring we're having made. The jeweler who's doing it, I said to him, I go, hey, so how's the business? He goes, you know what, Paul, I'm very fortunate. I go, what's that? He's like, you see all this inventory? I go, yeah. He's like, paid for. I go, come on. He goes, paid for. He goes, I never wanted debt. I never wanted debt. My cost in this inventory right now is $1.2 million. Paid for. He's like, I'm going to keep paying my employees to sit at home, and I'm just going to do my own work by hand, and I will do it. Now, here's a guy. He goes, I go, this is great for you. He's like, yeah, but it's only me. So if he'd grown bigger, he might be in problems right now. But he was sitting there saying, listen, I just wanted to have my own show, and I wanted to have no debt. I can't do that if I grew and grew and grew. So these are the things that I was impressed to hear him. He's an immigrant from Mexico. He was like, listen, I was $700,000 in debt 20 years ago. I got out of it, built this business. I have $1.2 million now and paid off inventory. I have no debt. He goes, I'll survive. Right? He'll survive. He wasn't a flashy guy. He wore, you know what I mean? So if he has to go sell all that inventory at half retail, if his cost is $1.2 million, the retail is probably $2 million. Sells it for, he'll probably still net $1 million that he can go pay his bills with and restart. He'll be fine. Low debt helps him do that. When we're looking at companies now, we're looking for lower debt companies, the ones that withstand good cash flow, lower debt, high margin. That's the way it is. I'm rambling here, but you know,
what are
these are hard. Go ahead.
What do you think all these people, I think about some of the people I know and love in this world, and or even just casually like, and wondering what are they going to do by not working for 3 months? The businesses that I enjoyed, are those going to go away? I mean, I'm having a hard time envisioning a world where people aren't spending like they are accustomed to.
That's a reality that's possible. But we had a huge economic boom for the last 40 years. I mean, massive economic boom. Stock market, real estate, everything went up. The pendulum swings, right? And when you have this swing to the amazing side, you're going to have the swings to the other side. This might be that other thing. So we have to decide, do we want booms? The bigger the boom, the harder the bust. It's just a matter of what do you feel, what do we want? You know, remember one thing, even if GDP falls 20% this year, we're still 25% above where it was 10 years ago. But it's the fact that we're in the moment feeling this that's really hard for us. You know what I mean? And, you know, Seth, I'm very, very cautious about what I say because I don't want my words about business and economics to come across as, you know, hard on people. It's not my intention. What my intention is to do is sit there and say, we got to use this as a learning experience to realize what it takes to make it in the business world, right? You know, I saw guys in 07, 06, 08 who spent like crazy on the personal side because they were making money in real estate like this. Real estate fell, and they're like, oh, the economy screwed me. And my comment was, no, your boat, your two Mercedes, your two Escalades, your $1 million home that you were doing on a $300,000 in income, that's what hurt you. You hurt yourself. Because not everybody's going to be hurt by this. The real people who I really do feel for are like I said, the workers who are just like, I just wanted a job. The people who weren't haters on everybody who made money, just said, listen, I just want to pay my bills, you know, make sure that I can live. And that's why it sucks, because there are far more of those people probably than we realize, because we always hear from the loud, obnoxious people that are like, no, you got to do this, like me. You know what I mean?
You wanted to talk about your boy Grant Cardone. An article came out this week that said Grant Cardone lays off 80 of his 180 employees without notice. Cardone Capital, without notice and without benefits, as little as legally obligated, fired 80 plus people, and basically gave them a letter saying, I don't know if this is hearsay, but you know, I tried to do some research on who came up with this. But basically it said if they wanted to contest it, they can try, but they'll run out of money in court.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing they said that in a legal document, but
yeah. But what do you think about that?
6% is better than zero, Seth.
Explain that again.
This is why 6% is not better than zero. And everybody out there listening, go back to podcast number 1 and listen all the way through. How many times did I mention this about Grant Cardone?
Yeah.
6% is not better than zero because of things like today. We didn't even need to see this magnitude happen. If we saw a recession that was 1/10 this, he would have learned that 6% is not better than zero. Sometimes par is good enough to win. Sometimes 0% is good enough to win.
Slow down. Elaborate on his comment on what he said this and why you disagree.
All he cared about was, I'm making 6%. It's better than making zero. Having the cash do nothing. My comment back was, but if you're buying overpriced assets to get that 6%, when this stuff happens and all of a sudden you need big margins to support it, 6% isn't good enough. He's going to lose 20 or 30%. And that was my argument. 6% might be at a risk of going down 30 or 40%. And if you understand investing, which Grant Cardone clearly does not, because he is a functioning whatever, he is a moron, this is why guys like him need to pay this price. And it's going to come at the expense of his workers. And I'm sure they were just like, well, this guy knows what he's doing. He's got a private jet, right? He knows what he's doing. That's why whenever people look at me and say, well, I'm going to listen to you, Paul. You're a millionaire. I immediately say, that's no reason to listen to me. I know plenty of millionaires who are stupid, don't understand investing. In fact, most millionaires I know don't understand investing. They just are good at doing a business here or there. Grant Cardone just believed, if I can make something, it's better than nothing. No. When you're buying assets like stocks and real estate and bonds, you have to look at what is your downside risk.
Explain that a bit, because I know we've talked about it before, but to a normal person like me, I don't quite understand that.
So when you buy a piece of real estate and usually it makes 10%, well, if you have to pay more and it gets 6%. You pay more, that's what gets you 6%, right? Well, it's better than zero. Well, but if you're paying more, what happens when the market falls? What happens to the price of the asset you paid for? You overpaid. Now it falls even further. So are you still making 6%? Now Grant Cardone is going to have a hard time collecting his rents. So he bought his properties based on a worst case 85% vacancy. Worst case 85% vacancy? I mean, he had lower margins, and that's why he's going to pay this price. And that's why his employees are not paying the price for his ineptitude. Hey, at least he has a private jet that he paid for in cash, according to him. My comment back is, Grant, if you paid cash for that private jet, go sell it and get your employees and rebound. But something tells me we weren't hearing the entire truth from Grant Cardone.
You know, we go back to, I've been seeing on the internet that people are saying, you know, this time, how companies react in times of crisis will really, really show. You shared this on LinkedIn, didn't you not?
Maybe, probably. Go ahead.
I'll really show their true colors. And of course, we go back to the email that you sent out to Crossroads Group employees about how happy you were, how much we're going to thrive during this. And, you know, it might be tough, but we'll come out on top. And now, I don't know.
Wait, that sounds like a cliche email. The idea behind the email was, guys, we're going to take a hit to profit. We're still going to be profitable. Nobody's losing their job. Nothing's happening because of financial reasons. My brother and I are still living our same lifestyle. Why? Because we lived off 10% of our company's profit. My dad, brother, and I probably live off 20% of our profit. That's it. So we can afford to take a 50% drop in profit. Nobody's going to take a hit. Companies don't owe anybody anything. Employees don't owe their companies anything in a free market world. With that said, please don't forget if your company supports you during these tough times. And don't think for a second, Seth, that if anybody 3 or 4 or 5 years from now when the economy gets better, tells me I'm leaving to go get better, I'm like, remember what I did in 2020. Just remember that. But you can make your own decisions. That's why I sit there and say companies are going to show their true colors. Like, at the end of the day, if a company has to go lay off people, I understand that. But if it's capable of them to be able to support their employees during this tough time, then their employees should remember that on the flip side. And if the company doesn't do that, the employees should remember that on the flip side too. You follow what I'm saying, Seth?
Say it again.
If companies support their employees during this downtime, employees need to remember that later. If companies choose not to support their employees during downtimes, employees need to remember that later as well.
Yeah.
This is where you determine what kind of company you're going to be. And this is where you determine what kind of company you work for. Right?
Yeah.
All we're doing right now is, it all depends on what you want as a company. We were small enough. If we had 10,000 units. Oh, my father. Hang on a second.
Sure.
Hey, Dad, I'm podcasting. What's going on? All right, love you. Look at that. That's a phone call about a $30,000 concrete job my dad wants to do to the office building in Canton that we have. We look at this as an opportunity to go talk to companies and say, hey, work's tough right now. Can we get a deal? Let's save money. You guys get work. Everybody's happy, right?
Yeah.
But I'm very big on, if we had 10,000 units, things might be harder now on us if we had the same amount of capital. If we had, 10 times more capital, we'd be like, oh, this is gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. It's not wrong to take this time as a way to expand your business and make it stronger, which I recommend for anybody who can. As we recover from this, go try to make your business stronger by growing it, spend more money on marketing, get more market share if you can.
I think some people feel bad about marketing at this time.
Well, listen, we can't live in a world where we criticize. Do I believe in, there's a definite line between being opportunistic and being greedy. It's all in the eye of the person looking at it, right?
Yeah.
If you think that's greed, nothing I'm going to do is ever going to change your mind. But you can't think that's greedy, but then also think it's greedy that your business owner, the business person that you're calling greedy, has to shut down and fire employees. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It's either let that business owner grow their business to provide for their employees, or let them lay off their employees. You can't have both. That's what I fear. People want that business owner to do both. You need to stay in business, and pay your employees without growing your business. Guys, that's just not business. You know what I mean? We got to pick one or the other. There's healthy balances for everything.
Yeah, I've also heard some people who are hesitant about marketing in this time say, if the big companies are offering discounts, and I mean, why can't I? I don't think a lot of small companies, that they're hesitant in mirroring big companies. You know what I mean? They're kind of holding themselves back a bit, I would think. Like we're upping our marketing now. Actually, I don't know.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I don't know when the light of day will be, but we're running ads almost for one of the first times. We're running ads on Facebook and Instagram for the next season of photography that might occur. I had said on a photography podcast last week, following your teachings, it seems like I'm telling photographers, I'm mentoring more photographers now. Now the economy's turned, I'm talking to a couple photographers at the same time in terms of mentoring. And now this is a phenomenal time to learn something new, increase your business wherewithal, and really.
What else are you gonna do?
What else are you gonna do? And I think I'm like you, Paul. It's sad to say that some of these people aren't going to be around, and somehow they're going to have to go get some other job. But the people, I tell photographers, the people that normal photographers have been complaining about for the past decade, who undercut them, offer crappy services at a discounted rate, they very well might be gone.
Yep.
And so it's your time to step into a fresh field of daisies and start taking over, if you put yourself in a position to be okay. But boy, oh boy, you've taught me to sort of get ready for something like this, but boy, oh boy, I wish.
I didn't expect this would happen, Seth. I'm going to repeat this over and over. I've told you, in the last 3 podcasts or 4 podcasts, some people are texting me going, oh, you were right. I'm like, listen, I thought stocks would go for whatever stocks that I'm doing. It was going to happen. Coronavirus was the catalyst. I didn't think this economic downturn would happen. Seth, we have a shutdown.
How much money is flowing around on a daily basis as compared to 2 months ago? No, nothing. No, anything. Bowling alleys, hair.
You know what I'm surprised about? I sold a piece of land about a month and a half ago, before this whole thing happened, to a guy. And I thought he would still buy it, but I thought it would take some time. We're closing next week.
Yeah, I'm shocked by that.
I'm floored. Literally, I got an email yesterday from the title company that said, okay, we're closing next week. And I texted him, I go, are we closing next week? He goes, yeah. I go, okay. I go, sounds good. And here's the thing. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. He doesn't know this. But if he called me and said, Paul, the bank won't let me buy it right now, he gave me money hard and said, if I don't buy this, you keep the money. I'd have told him, listen, this is an outlier situation. When you're ready to buy, I'm going to keep the money, but when you're ready to buy it, it's fully credited. Like, this is insane. Like, I could have never guessed this to happen. He wasn't going to not buy it because of him and because of a bank. So I was like, listen, we were to figure this out. Or I would have financed it myself or something, because he's a good guy. He did everything he said he was going to do. In fact, I was a little mean to him because everybody comes and knocks on my door. And I was like, listen, here's the rules of what you're going to buy from me. I gave him a better price than he even offered me because I wanted more security. And he's still honoring the deal. So if for some reason the bank pulls the deal at the end of the day, I look at it going, I can't believe we're even closing, though. A bank's going to give him a loan now. This is good. This is good news, by the way. I was happy to hear that.
Yeah, I think I keep trying to think, Paul, what can this use? This can be a teaching point. What can people do in the future besides watching our show for the past 18 months, which they could have, and then sort of gotten ready for this? I mean, knowing that we haven't even got through the end of this, I don't even know what you're probably going to say that you foresee this thing happening all over again, right? A growth of a booming economy and something smashing it down, right?
Well, we always have these things. We have booms and busts all the time. In our last 150 years of economic history and stock market history, I mean, it's always happening. These things are part of the cycle. It's ups and downs, you know what I mean? And right now we're probably coming from this like top part right here, and we have to go see a bottom part. That's what I think happened in 08, 09. We didn't experience the tough bottom.
Yeah.
To experience that's the weeding out we talk about. We didn't really experience that because it was a quick rebound. When people talk about this quick rebound, I go, I understand why we want the quick rebound right now, but if you really want a more stable and better economy for the future, you don't want a quick rebound. You want it to hurt a little bit. And I'm purely speaking from if I don't care about anybody individually, and I'm purely speaking from an investment standpoint. I'm not speaking from a heartless standpoint.
Yeah.
These are the things you need to have happen. It's just like your kids. You can't bail your kids out all the time in every mess they get into, or else they're going to continue making mistakes. You got to let them suffer from the mistakes sometimes. Like, hey, you were caught cheating. You got to be suspended. That's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So these are the things that have to happen. And I'm not asking for a long down thing, but we can't have this quick rebound like that. It's not going to work very well for the long run.
I know you're against government bailouts, but I'm seeing posts probably from.
I've changed my view on that one. You know that.
Well, no, I mean, well,
of companies or people?
Companies.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead. You're right.
I'm seeing posts from the sort of more my more liberal friends. Excuse me, I'm mumbling.
Do you have any non-liberal friends, Seth?
Not that many.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
But they're saying, the world has been telling us that we need to have 6 months of savings. Meanwhile, 3 weeks later, these huge, enormous companies are asking for bailouts because they don't have the same thing.
I don't think that's a liberal or conservative idea. That's just a sound business idea. I don't think people should have 6 months of savings. I think you should put it all in a 401k and Roth IRA, and if something goes and hits a fan, or have several credit cards available, if something hits a fan, you just pay the penalty. Because the chances of this happening are so slim. Just pay the penalty or borrow against your 401k. You can do that and pay your bills. But companies, come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's going to happen with the airlines and the ocean.
Airlines have notoriously been bad businesses. Like, what are we doing here? Like, that's not a liberal or conservative idea. That's just a sound business idea. Make sure you have enough in the coffers to withstand big events. Listen, Seth, this is an anomaly of all anomalies. I would have never imagined this. So even if somebody said to me before, Paul, we're properly funded, where we saw a 10% jump in GDP, we'd be fine. I'd be like, that's awesome. Good for you. We're going to get way worse than that one. So I would have never projected that. So I'd have been like, so even those people who were probably like that, they would have had problems. So this is an outlier of all out. I mean, this is a black swan of black. I mean, this is a very extreme example. But I don't think that's unreasonable to say, hey, companies, here's the deal. I agree with Warren Buffett on something. You can make a lot of money in business without debt. Operating a business the proper way can do very well for you. Debt just does what? It magnifies your return. I was just telling Mikey, we love debt, but we're not leveraged the tilt on everything, whatever the thing is, on everything. We are smart about it. Okay, we look at a spectrum of possibilities and we go to an area we feel comfortable. Does that mean we're going to be right? No. Does that mean we can't be hurt? No. We can still be hurt. But the whole point is it's managing that downside that matters to us. And as a company, we choose to have a lot of money in reserve. It just happened to work out very well for us right now. We invest in real estate where if the economy goes down, it's not Class A. Class A, I think, will be the hardest hit. I look at that going, that's what we choose to do. Now, does that mean we're making money hand over fist when everybody else is? No. We weren't growing. Everybody else told us we were missing out. How many people literally said to me, you're missing out on so many deals? Those deals are missing out on now are tough deals.
Mm-hmm.
They're lucky it happened to everybody because they're going to get bailed out too.
So I know you and sort of our stock expert guest, Mo, are looking toward the first quarter numbers to come out. What are you expecting is going to happen then? Uh-oh.
If it's worse than they're projecting, and I think they're projecting 9 or 10% drop maybe, I don't understand how it doesn't just drop from there, but you never know. You never know, Seth. If it ends up being, look at it this way. When the 3.28 million unemployed came out last week, the market went up. It didn't go down.
Mm-hmm.
That was shocking to me. It's 4.5 times larger than the highest ever in history, and it didn't go. And the stock market didn't go down. I don't believe it went down. I think it went up that day.
They're showing that it's over 3,000 deaths from the virus in the States, and Dr. Fauci, Trump's homeboy, or maybe ex-homeboy now. I guess he was saying stuff behind Trump's back, and maybe he's not going to appear much more. But they're saying 20,000 deaths. So we've hit just a very, very small fraction of the deaths we're going to see. I mean, I just can't imagine a world that's going to see what is that, 6 times more death of this? I mean, we've hardly
we see it every year with drunk driving. We see it every year with cars. I mean, we lose 35,000 people a year to car accidents. We lose how many people a year to drug overdoses. We lose how many people a year. This is fear. This is fear running rampant.
You know, I hear that people say, yeah, well, the flu does this. Well, like I think the difference is the flu does it every year. It's consistent. Drunk driving, that many people die every year. But this new thing, you know,
all the more reason why I think it's the fear thing.
Yeah,
if it happens, we're sitting there saying we're okay with it if it happens every year because it's not sudden.
That's right.
Really, let's think about that for a second.
That's true. I mean,
you're right. By the way, the other scary part about this is you can have it for days and never even know.
Yeah.
And it spreads very quickly, faster than the regular flu. So I saw some rating. It's like a 2.2, and the regular flu is like 1.4 in terms of like how it affects, how it grows, and things like that. That's a big difference, 50% more. Okay, that's true potentially. But I don't know. Listen, there's a lot of conversations we could have that we'd have privately. Me and you sitting in my kitchen drinking Coke Zeros.
Zeros, yes.
We'd have, but
I'm starting to imagine a world where we sit here. We have to sit in this house for another 2 months. They might be saying, extending it all the way to June. I guess Virginia is extending this lock-in till June.
How's our Magic the Gathering buddy?
I haven't talked to him.
Reach out to him, see how he's doing.
I could only imagine.
Yeah.
I was this close to reaching out to the lead singer of Fun today on Twitter and seeing if he wanted to come on the podcast.
Why didn't you?
He's an enormous Bernie supporter, so I figured you'd tear him apart.
Well, I probably wouldn't tear him apart because there's an emotional.
But I would say that a lot of the Bernie followers are now very adamant of the things Bernie was looking to implement. It seems like the world is looking to implement them right now. Bigger government, universal health care, socialist-like checks to you, Paul, or you know what I mean? I mean, I know we try not to get too political, but is that not what, do they have a point? How many people who call AOC a socialist are dying to get their check right now? How many will not cash it?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I will respond with this. Tell me a world in which socialism worked very well.
Well, it might be, I mean, I guess a Bernie follower might say, well, the checks that are going out this week is something, wouldn't it? It's not pure. Tell me a world in which the pure socialism, the way the government runs socialism, like actual, like we are a socialist economy, works very well. Yeah, you brought that up. I don't know. I just
one tax plan, my new project that's in the works, is socialist. It's me just sitting there saying, listen, we're going to have big government. What's the best way to handle it?
Mm-hmm.
I am concerned about the reaction from the left because it's going to cut a lot of programs out there, but it's going to give people a lot of money. My big thing is, let's all agree that we're not going to have a purely capitalist society and we're not going to have a purely socialist society.
Yeah.
Purely socialist has never, ever worked. Ever. Purely socialist makes this many people very, very, very wealthy and everyone else poor. Why is it that every single person I know that comes from a socialist country says it is awful? But not every single person that ever comes from a capitalist country says it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
I look at that as pure, like how many people risk their lives to leave socialist countries, get on a raft, going, I could very well drown, get eaten, all these things on the off chance I can make it over there. That's how bad it is over here. I don't see people doing that with capitalism.
Yeah.
Because in capitalism, they're allowed to go leave. All right, go. China got more prosperous when it became less socialist. Russia became more prosperous when it became less so. Every single thing in history. I remember once in college, a grad student telling me, no, Paul, there are socialist economies from 3,000 years ago that existed that were successful. I'm like, how are they today? Oh, they don't exist. Noted. Now, maybe that's an extreme. There could be other reasons why they don't exist, but then why doesn't it work today? Why do we have every country in the world that's successful have some modern, listen, socialism it is an extreme statement, and we have it in a lot of countries. And the idea that I'm taking for one tax plan is socialist. And it is, but it's a way of saying, let's be pragmatic about it. Let's just sit there and all accept the fact that we're not going to get what we want on both extremes. We got to figure out somewhere in the middle. I'm just trying to be a place where when events like this happen, Seth, we're not fighting over the check. We're not fighting over who's going to get a share of the money. It's just laid out up front. No more fighting. Here's what it's going to be. You're going to get $18,000 a year. During times like this, we're going to double that. And it's only going to be for people who make X amount of dollars or less and blah, 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 blah. Fine. That's it. If any socialist uses this example as to why we need socialism, you don't know your history. Go do your history on socialism, please. You don't know your history. The amount of poverty, dictatorship, genocide that occurs under socialist regimes is insane. The fact that liberals who claim they hate all those I'm like, every dictator in history basically has been very big on big government and them controlling everything. Literally I don't remember a genocidal dictator who did not believe in that. Mm-hmm. It's all about a few people. When I say a few people say, oh, the top 1% here. No. Talk about the top 0.00001. It's like 10 people in government who control everything. Give me a break. Mm-hmm. I just want things in place that allow us to say, oh, this reaction happened? Great, here's what we do. It's just set in stone. Here's what we do. And under my one tax plan, the checks would have been out already. Great, guys, your monthly check is now doubled. Congratulations. And guess what? When I get my $1,200 check, I'm going to cash it, but I'm going to do something with it. I'm not saying to pat myself on the back. I'm saying it as like, I've said 1,000 times, don't send me the check. Mm-hmm. Rand Paul got in trouble because he got ridiculed for voting down the stimulus. Because the reason he voted it down was, I shouldn't be getting a check. Why are you guys sending me a check? No, let's send it to the people who need it. I agree with that. I don't want the check. I'll give away my check. That's my point about it. Let's figure out a way that makes work for everyone. Like, it's so funny that socialists, when Bernie says we want an economy that works for everybody, his plan doesn't work for everybody. My plan works for everybody. Literally, you ask a poor person right now, hey, you won't pay any taxes, and in fact, we're gonna give you $10,000 or $18,000 more every year. Wait, what? Yeah, go make $10 an hour. You won't pay any taxes, and we're gonna give you an extra $8,000 or $9,000 extra on top of that. Tell me they wouldn't say yes. Hey, yeah. Rich person, you're gonna pay 40% flat tax, no other taxes, no nothing, and that's it. I already talked to two very wealthy people. You know what they said to me? Without even blinking an eye, tell me where to sign. That's mine. I'll do that all day.
Yeah.
So that's an economy that works for everyone. And surpluses and paying down debt, it's wonderful. Seth, this is my calling. This is really my calling. I'm not kidding about that.
Wow.
Like, I really felt like this economy made me realize how important surpluses were. I mean, I always felt they're important, but this showed it. This proved it. We're going to go spend $6 trillion like it's water. And we could have had that money if we just had an economy like this. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that stands in the way is politicians. Either side of the aisle. They both suck. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, Paul. Thanks for joining me today from your humble abode. We might have to do this 6 or 8 times.
I'm fine with that. Are you fine with that?
Yeah. Now I'm going to close with a photo that means a lot to me, Paul. I texted this to you yesterday, and I wanted to get the viewers their thought on this photo. Now, look at this person, Paul. What do you think? This is probably about 6th or 7th grade.
Oh, I thought it was freshman year of high school or something.
Maybe. Look at that.
That's freshman year of high school, I bet. No?
I told Beth, at what point did I look at those glasses and say, yes, that is it?
What's that?
The look.
20 years from now, you'll be looking at your picture right now saying, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
You see what I did in the picture?
What's that? Oh, I didn't see it.
I put the Trump hat on there to make America
great. Oh, I have to look at my text. You have to look at my text.
Listen, I thought it was a great picture.
All right, guys, subscribe to us below. Paul and I we are committed to this damn thing to bring you our news. Paul, I think we're going to try and get some guests here through Zoom as well and talk to people about their thoughts and
Wait, everybody I know is using Zoom right now. Everyone I know is using Zoom.
It's really good.
Let's see how their stock is doing.
Oh, it's got to be doing great, right? That's what people are saying.
It's been a bit ridiculous, but they are probably doing great.
I saw one of those cartoons, Who's Behind the Virus, and it's Zoom.
Yes, right? That was great. It was the okay. What the?
So let's see. A month ago, it was at 113, and today it's at 147.
Wait, I'm looking at it. It says 1040.
Oh, I'm looking Zoom.
What's the stock? What's the ticker symbol? ZOOM?
No, ZM. NASDAQ ZM.
Oh, Zoom video. I'm sorry. I see $147.
Yeah, that's what I have too.
And January 1st, it was 68. And a month ago, it was
wow,
116.
Yes, Zoom's doing great.
One of the few stocks that's up.
That and BP.
Yeah, BP. God damn it.
What? You bought some?
I know, but I wanted it to go lower so I could buy more.
Yeah. Gio bought.
What was that?
Gio bought some BP. He's very excited.
Oh, did he?
Bought 5 shares at $14.
No, he didn't.
Yes.
Wow, good for him. So when are we doing our little Geo session? Can you tell everybody what this idea is that you had?
Yeah, sure. If you're listening this far in the podcast, Paul loves the idea. Paul, you mentioned it today about the movie Philadelphia. Denzel saying, "Explain this to me like a 2-year-old."
Or maybe he said 4-year-old. He might have said 4-year-old.
4-year-old. I mean, I think a lot of people's level of a lot of my intelligent friends. I think their level of stock knowledge was like mine, upwards of even like I told Paul like 3 months ago of like my stock knowledge is what is the price and what was it 6 months ago or 5 years ago? Like where, I have no actual knowledge of like how did we get to that price? Why is Tesla or Amazon overvalued, overpriced? And so I said, my son is incredibly interested. So why not have Paul explain to a 9-year-old, a soon to be 10-year-old, how to evaluate a company. And in doing so, you might be able to teach a lot of people the same thing. So we're going to give it a try. Should be cute. You all will see Paul's interaction with a child, which doesn't happen much, Paul.
I really miss my niece a lot, though.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in 3 weeks.
It could be another 2 months, right?
I know. We FaceTime every day. By the way, can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
I bought BP, not any fundamentals other than I knew it got crushed. And I looked at the multiples it was selling for versus history. And I was like, listen, this has got to be this is a good company that will survive. And I'm going to own it right now at this price. If it goes lower, I'll probably buy more. So I didn't base it on fundamentals. I don't know what the fundamentals are yet. I haven't seen the numbers come out yet for the new quarter. Yeah. I have no clue. I just looked at it saying, I think this is going to be fine.
Yeah. All right, guys, subscribe to Learn From Us channel. Tell your friends about Learn From Us. We need as many listeners as we can get, Paul. So
I know.
All right, guys, thanks for following us, and see you next time. Thanks, Paul.
Much love.